Well, as mentioned earlier, former White House strategist Steve Bannon now says that he is willing to testify before the January 6th House Select Committee. The panel will hold 2 more public hearings this week, with one set for tomorrow. So congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane is at the Capitol with more on this. Scott, Bannon's shift comes just days before his contempt of Congress trial brought by the Justice Department is set to begin. So what happens to this case now that he's actually agreed to testify before the committee?
Well, it's supposed to begin a week from today. In fact, there's a court hearing midday ahead of the trial. This offer from Steve Bannon comes in the 11th hour. In fact, the Justice Department says this is an 11th hour effort by Bannon to try to soften the ground ahead of his trial. All that being said, Steve Bannon has been federally charged with contempt of Congress, and what the Justice Department will argue is no matter what he's saying now, he very much defied this committee and its subpoenas and its deposition requests when those subpoenas were due, which was last year.
Very interesting. So let us talk about tomorrow's hearing, though. What more do we know about the hearing and its focus on extremist groups? And do we know anything about who will be testifying?
We know it's going to be a little long. This is going to be a hearing that may break the mold of prior hearings. There's a lot they're trying to pack into this finite amount of space. It's about the mobilization of the mob January 6th here at the Capitol, the movement of so many people to one space in one time, and the role of alleged conspirators, the plotters and planners, the far-right groups, domestic violent extremists. But what really underscores all of this, the foundation is going to have to be what connective tissue can this committee draw between the people on the ground, the alleged conspirators, and other characters in this story so far, potentially people in power, potentially people near or inside the Trump inner circle.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, the whole argument has been we can connect all this to the former president specifically. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how they build that argument. In the meantime, the committee spoke with former Trump White House counsel Pat Cipollone for 8 hours. 8 hours. Do we know how that will play a role in these next hearings? And do we expect to see, some of those clips made public?
Oh, I'd bank on it. You'll hear and see excerpts from that deposition either at tomorrow's hearing, Thursday's hearing, a little bit of both, or even at future potential hearings. The committee has shown, if passed as prologue, it takes those excerpts of relevant chunks of its taped depositions and then synthesizes them into their hearings to show their investigation, to help tell their story. I think Mr. Cipollone was videotaped for a reason, because they intend to show clips of that tape tomorrow, Thursday, or otherwise.
So you mentioned Alex Holder's documentary of Trump's final days in office was actually released over the weekend. I don't know how I missed that, because I was one of those people looking to see where Thor was playing instead of this documentary. Did it add any context to the case, or was it mostly hype?
Well, let me be unequivocal. The MacFarlane children were looking for Thor this weekend as well. So it may have evaded us on the first attempt. It actually dropped overnight, very early Sunday morning, Anne-Marie. So we're now going to see the wave of attention this documentary gets. Alex Holder was a rather provocative announcement by this committee when they said that they had requested his video and his interview. They know he has insights perhaps nobody else has, because he had the access in the final days to Donald Trump, the final hours of the Trump presidency. We expect to see clips of that documentary at the forthcoming hearings as well, and we'll find out how relevant Alex Holder's testimony is when the hearings resume tomorrow.
Yep, cannot wait. Scott, thank you very much. So, of course, we're going to have live coverage of the January 6th committee's next public hearing tomorrow. Our team of analysts and correspondents, like Scott, will be standing by throughout the day to break down all the latest developments. You can stream that tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on CBS News.